So hi everyone, I'm Karen and good afternoon to everyone. So today we are going to talk about the sexism in the world and in Colombia. So let's get started. In today's when we speak about sexism, we are talking about the stereotyping, the prejudice, and the discrimination of the against the women or on the gender on the basis of sex, like if you are female or you are male. Anyway, you can be affected by the sexism, but it's more typically in the women. Also we are going to see some other concepts as chauvinism and pessimism. When we get in the sexism in the world, is seen as a problematic in almost all the cultures, and well, yeah. When I was doing a little research of the sexism in the world, I found out that the most of the women suffer of that, even though they are suffering of familiar violence, some problematics, what I said before, the sexism can affect everyone, but is most affected for the women. So when I was doing the research, I found out a little blog in the UK in 2016 in the International Women's Day that talk about how the women suffer around the world sexism on the daily. So there are like 4 women that give their experiences. So one of them, they suffer of domestic violence, and it says that suffer about rape and abuse, and I was a really survivor, and he was so proud of how she could get out of the situation of the problem. Anyway, she says that she have some of the psychological problems about what the rape and what the abuse left to her. Other one, like all the women there were suffering about domestic violence. I found out one that was some African American girl in the UK that has suffered by, like, in 5 years had suffered racism in the place that she worked. That is, when you read that experience, you say that this has to stop. So now, when I found out in the UK, another different culture than Colombia, and in the UK they are so similar as the USA. In the USA, I found another one, a Chinese girl, like Asian descent, but it was, anyway, she was from the US. So she suffered about bullying, and because she was a girl, an Asian girl, so it's hurting when you read that. It's jaded. So when I was doing the little research of sexism in Colombia, I found out that the social media concern the sexism so different here in the place do you live here in Colombia and how they represent in the social media. So I'm going to speak about the experience, about how Colombian women have to how to be stronger, and how to be strong, and how to be so secure from themselves. The sexism in Colombia is so bad. The sexism is more for the female. Here we use too much the chauvinism. Here is so normal. See the chauvinisms in the family. The domestic violence is so normal because always the man is the boss or something like that. So start from the house. The problem is growing and growing and growing. So one of the examples that I could give to you is when we are around like the street or something like that, we start suffering for verbal abuse when the men in the street start to saying something that makes us feel bad. So that's why we suffer about sexism. Obviously, the way that the men makes feel the women, how the men feel the women, like you have to stay in the home, you have to make the dinner, you have to stay at home and with the kids, with all of them. So that's no little explanation of what the women suffer here in Colombia, what we are suffering here in Colombia, because any of the girls save of this situation. So to get into the into the topic of the feminism, it's kind of difficult, because to understand feminism we have to have some concepts clear to understand the very concept of feminism. That is not equality, just is equity. That is so different. That you being a man, I being a woman, we can have the same rights and the same type of life we deserve. The equality is so different, because if we say we need to equality, it's because we are the same, or we don't have that singular particular us. And what feminism try to do is equality, the society. So that is kind of the solution, or what we can be for. So what we can look for. So we look for equity, not for equality. Is totally different. And to overcome the sexism, we have to first overcome the chauvinism. So we need to very first try to stop the chauvinism, to try to stop sexism, when the chauvinism is the very of the point of being finished with that thought. We can think of a world without sexism.
Hi, my name is Joel. When I was a child, people used to make fun of me. Why? Because I was a cheerleader. My friends used to tell me things like gay, like marica, women, but what happened? I was a man. I'm a man. Then I realized that all the stereotypes control our behavior and our way to think. The stereotypes create all the things that people have to do, that how women or how men have to act and think. A man have to be strong. A man can be sensitive. A man have to protect the woman. But at the other side, the woman is fragile, sensitive, and of course they can't take care of themselves. If you don't follow that rules, that stereotypes, you don't have place on the society. But what happened? Sexism creates some of the incredible discrimination, not only in relationships, also at the workplace. The women can have the same salary than a man because just is a woman. The language aggravates the problem. Why? There are some languages that stereotype the way that we have to speak. For example, here in Colombia we have an expression. It says men on the street and women on the kitchen. While a man can be a home man, like that. Why a man can do something, the staff of the house, do the dishes, clean the house, and why women can go to work, can create employees, can create a company. Why? How to overcome with the sexism? I think the most powerful weapon against the sexism is education. If we educate properly the next generation of people, we're going to create an egalitarian society. The treatment with the other people, people by people, not the gender. It doesn't matter women and men, just people. We're going to create a better society. In conclusion, the sexism is one of the biggest problems of our society. But with the education and the properly treatment, we can solve it. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, my name is Paula, and I'm going to talk about how sexism is pollute the world and how can we overcome sexism in terms of feminism and total manliness. Let's start. What is sexism? Sexism is discrimination, stereotyping, and prejudice typically against women, also for men. But sexism is when other gender feels bigger than other. It's like feminism and manliness, but in this case it's called sexism because it's for both. So, how you know? Women have been discriminated since many centuries ago because we are the weak sex. And we can do nothing because we are women and we must look pretty all the time. Unfortunately, the times have not changed, and in the world there's a lot of men with man thoughts discriminating women every day. In public transport, while they are walking in the street, through social media, women are being discriminated day a day without do nothing. And it's something that shouldn't go now because we are in the 21st century. Also, unfortunately, the world always will be a bad place for someone because always will be discrimination, racism, or violence. But we can do it a better place. So, if you're being discriminated, don't shut up. You need to say everything. If you do it, we will be more. And with luck, we would stop it at all.
So, today I say, together for change. Thank you.